For a long time, I thought motivation was the answer. I thought if I could just feel inspired enough, if I could just wake up with energy and confidence, everything would finally fall into place. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It fades when things get uncomfortable. It disappears the moment life gets real. And that's when most people stop. If you've been waiting for motivation, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need motivation. You need commitment. Commitment is what shows up when motivation doesn't. It's what carries you through ordinary days. It's what keeps you moving when excitement fades. I learned this the hard way. There were days I felt unstoppable and days I felt empty. Days I wanted to work and days I wanted to quit. Motivation never stayed long enough to build anything meaningful. But commitment did. Commitment doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't negotiate with your excuses. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It asks one simple question. Will you do what you said you would today? Strong people don't rely on feelings. They rely on systems. They build routines that support them. When emotions fluctuate, they remove decisions from moments of weakness. They make discipline automatic. That's what you need, not a burst of inspiration, but a structure you can lean on. Motivation tells you why to start. Commitment decides that you will. And there's a big difference. Motivation feels good at the beginning. Commitment feels boring most of the time. But boring is where growth lives. You don't transform your life on the days you feel inspired. You transform it on the days you don't feel like doing anything and do it anyway. That's not punishment. That's self-respect. Because every time you follow through, you reinforce trust with yourself. You prove, I can rely on me. And that belief is powerful. Life gets easier when you trust yourself. Goals feel reachable. Fear loses its grip. Not because things stop being hard, but because you stop running from discomfort. You don't need motivation to go to the gym. You need a time, a plan, and a reason that matters. You don't need motivation to work on your future. You need clarity and consistency. The problem isn't that you lack motivation. The problem is that you've been waiting for it, waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting for fear to disappear. Fear doesn't disappear before action. It fades after action. Confidence doesn't come before you try. It comes after you survive what you thought you couldn't. That's why commitment matters. It moves you forward before your mind catches up. You don't need motivation to start small. You need permission to be imperfect. Progress isn't loud. It's quiet, repetitive, and often unnoticed. But it adds up. Strong people understand this. They don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, what needs to be done? They don't chase intensity. They build consistency. They don't wait for the right mood. They create momentum. And momentum changes everything. Once you start moving even slowly, your energy follows. Your mindset shifts. Your confidence grows. But none of that happens if you stay still. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop telling yourself you'll begin when it feels easier. Stop believing everyone else has something you don't. They don't. They just kept going when it wasn't exciting. You don't need to overhaul your life today. You need to keep one small promise, one action, one habit, one step forward. Do that again tomorrow and the day after that. Before you move on, before you scroll, before this moment passes, take a breath. Because moments like this are rare. Not because the words are special, but because you chose to listen. And that choice matters more than you think. Most people hear motivation and forget it. They feel inspired for a moment, then return to old habits, old thinking, old comfort. But strength begins when you pause and reflect. Right now, you have a quiet opportunity, not to change everything, not to become someone new overnight, but to decide just once to take yourself seriously. I want you to understand something deeply. Nothing changes the day you feel inspired. Everything changes the day you act when inspiration fades. That's where real growth lives. In ordinary moments, in quiet decisions, in the promises you keep when no one is watching. You don't need to be perfect after this video ends. You don't need to suddenly feel fearless or confident. You just need to remember this moment. The moment you realized something needed to change. The moment you felt seen. The moment you understood that your life is still yours to shape. And maybe right now, life feels heavy. Maybe progress feels slow. Maybe you've tried before and fallen back into old patterns. That doesn't disqualify you. It proves you're human. What matters is not how many times you restart, but that you keep choosing forward quietly, patiently, honestly. So when this video ends, don't rush. Carry one thought with you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming takes time. Let today be simple. One small decision. One honest step. One action your future self will thank you for. That's enough. If these words resonated with you, it means you're paying attention. And people who pay attention change slowly, steadily, permanently. So stay with yourself. Be patient with your progress. And don't underestimate the power of quiet consistency. This isn't the end of the video. It's the beginning of something internal. And that's where real transformation always starts.